The Chief Marshal, Dr. Blanche, will now proceed with the first commencement exercises of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us remain standing for the national anthem. Please join in the singing, which will be led by Cantor Paul Glasser. At Yeshiva University commencement that the invitation be given by a parent of a graduating student. This year, Rabbi Seymour Fenichel, father of Deborah Fenichel, a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Law, will deliver the invocation. Rabbi Fenichel.
Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Heavenly Father, on this memorable occasion in the chronicles of our beloved Yeshiva University, in the lives of these young men and women, and in the archives of American Jewry, we gather to confer upon these meritorious students their degrees of Doctor of Jurisprudence, and pause a moment to plead and appeal for thy grace and mercy. Through the words of thy prophet Isaiah, we re-acknowledge his confident statement, Ki Hashem Shofteinu, Ad Hashem Mechokekenu, Ad Hashem Malkeinu, Hu Yoshienu. Thou art our judge, our lawgiver, our king. Thou wilt surely sustain and conserve us. We are indebted, O God, to thee for the wisdom and the imagination implanted in those men and women who dreamt about, conceived, then established and developed the Benjamin Nathan Cardozo School of Law at Yeshiva University. We shall forever remember Rabbi Dr. Samuel Belkin Zatzal of blessed memory, the author and architect of this great School of Law, whose vision and foresight transformed a legendary idea into tangible reality. All of us today are the beneficiaries of his spiritual grant and saintly conveyance. We are grateful to thee, O God, for assigning us these 3 years Professor Monrad Paulson as Dean of the School of Law. He has sculpted, kneaded, and molded the school, the faculty, and the students from rough shape into a cast and model that has become a mighty and indelible testimonial within the community of jurisprudence and scholarship. Bless him in the future with health of body and intellect of mind, allowing him to inculcate another generation of students in law, justice, and equity. Receive in mercy our supplication this moment. Bestow upon our beloved President, Rabbi Dr. Norman Lamb, soundness of body and resolute of mind, so that he may carry on with endurance and courage the formidable task mandated by his office. Inspire all of us, parents, spouses, children, and friends of these graduates, to practice love, kindness, benevolence, reason, and justice all the days of our lives. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. President, I am happy to inform you that the first commencement exercises of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law of Yeshiva University are now in session. I am pleased to introduce Morris B. Abram, Chairman of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law Board, who will offer greetings.
Ladies and gentlemen, faculty, and graduating class, as you have just heard, this would be a dream of Dr. Samuel Belkin. When I first began discussing with him the events which led to the graduation here today, I wondered why it was that he, a great rabbi, a great university president, a classicist, a Greek classicist, and a Hebrew Talmudist, would be so dedicated and interested and determined about a law school. I think the answer probably is very clear to you now, because it is a fact that the Greek classical tradition, and before it, Jewish tradition, taught the central core of what a university and perhaps life is about, to ask the right question, beginning with the question which was first asked by a Jew of God, who is man that thou art mindful of him? The work, the dream of Dr. Belkin, was translated into practice in very hard times by another very great and dedicated man, President Lamb. And the actual building of the school was entrusted to a man whom I've known for 40 years, Monrad G. Paulson. I know that whatever else you have learned as law students, you have learned two things. First of all, to ask the right question, and second, to realize that answers are very hard to come by. And whatever one does in life, whether it be at the personal, professional, business, or governmental, or policy-making level, the methods that have been instilled in you, the practice that you have had, will be of incredible importance. Because if one learns to ask the right questions, it is then at least possible to find some of the right answers, or at least know that they're extraordinarily difficult to find. So we come to this day with gratitude, with the realization that it has been an extremely hard struggle, beginning with Dr. Belkin, translated through the administration of Dr. Lamb, through the direct administration of Dean Paulson and his faculty, and with, I am sure, considerable sacrifice from you. So I warmly greet you, and congratulate you, and wish you the best throughout all of your life, and know that henceforth on, you will have the tools to have a richer life.
The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Law will be presented by Dean Monrad G. Paulson, assisted by Ms. Gail Unterman and Professor Malvina Guggenheim.
through this, no worry. Mr. President, I have the honor to present you 282 students who have completed the required course of study for the Doctor of Law degree at the Benjamin N. Cardozo Law School. They have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be conferred upon them. You have successfully completed the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Law as prescribed by the faculty of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby confer upon you the degree with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Will the faculty marshals please rejoin their student groups to line them up for the procession? That as the persons are given degrees, some will be announced as summa cum laude, some as magna cum laude, and some as cum laude. These are honors as a result of their scholastic achievement. May I say that the degree summa cum laude is an extraordinary honor. It is not contemplated that one or two of these will each year regularly be awarded. We have two this year. Ladies and gentlemen, as the students come by to receive their diplomas, please hold your applause until all these students have been hooded.
Doctor of Law, as of January 31, 1979, Barbara Jean Berwick. Doctor of Law, as of June 10, 1979, Carol Marie Adams. Samuel R. Edelman. Barbara Laser Asher. Larry Sol Bachner. Gideon J. Derry. Frederick David Barstein. Eunice Becker. Jonathan Hart Bellows. Thomas Daniel Benigno. Leonard Allen Benowitz. Sari Anna Bernstein. Soraya Berg. Lori Ann Schwartz Burnett. Carol Bernstein. That's hard. Weissman. Bradley Gold Spiller. Stephen J. Blummer. David Allen Paulson. Robert Stewart Bookman. Etienne Brand. Barbara Jean Brandon. Bruce Allen Brasky. Brian Bresnan. Stephen I. Brazel. Lynn June Brewstein. Gail Joan Cahan. Muriel Alex Kaplan. Jeffrey Elliott Cannon. Martha Ellen Cohen, cum laude. Michael Stephen Cole. Richard Scott Corenthal. Esther G. Davidwick. Ronaldo Davali. Barbara J. Detkin. Barbara R. Geek. Robert K. Drynan. Larry Dubb. Howard Fred Dubb. Debbie N. Ice, cum laude. Clifton S. Elgarten, summa cum laude. Joyce Michelle Elman. Joe Ehrlichster. You're on time, Joe. Victor S. Ballard, cum laude. Scott Michael Feigelstein. Ricky Ann Feldman. Susan Feldman Gordon. Deborah Ann Fenichel. Sandra Jean Purestein, cum laude. Howard J. Finkelstein, magna cum laude. Janice Lyle Fleischman. Mindy Forrest. Daniel Paul Foster. Harry Freifeld. Joel Mark Freiberg. Robert H. Hughes. Ellen Leslie Galpin. Barber. Linda J. Gargiulo. Blanche L. Gelber. Edward Barry Geller. Denise Germain. Gerard Giannatanzio. Morris Gendy. Lorraine Glazer. Jean Glasser. Joseph Menachem Gladstein. I'll just repeat it. Okay, thanks. Faith Julie Glazer. Alan E. Goldberg. Alan M. Goldberg. Janice Deborah Goldberg. Jane W. Goldblum. Carolyn S. Goldfarb. Jerry H. Goldfetter. Cindy Faye Goldstein. Alan Mark Gottlieb. Susan Carol Green. Rain M. Greenwald. Mitchell Floyd Gus. Thank you. R.E.A. Guttenberg cum laude. Susan J. Wertzman, magna cum laude. Sandra R. Halberstam. Wayne Robert Halper. Eli Halpern. Rochelle Fetter Hansen. Magna cum laude. Alice Sardell Harari. Mark Bennett Heller, cum laude. Irv Hepner, magna cum laude. Ronald J. Heyman. Audrey Ruth Hirschfeld. Henriette G. Hoffman. Michael Brian Hopkins. Norma Fabian Jacobson. Sarah Jean Jellin. Howard H. Chaffee. Alan Lloyd Joseph. Addie L. Kadish. Robert Jerry Taylor. Ronnie Lynn Tanoff. Jonathan Kalma cum laude. Jeffrey Kaplan. Judith Eleanor Kaplan cum laude. Gay Kasmer. Eileen Cass. Braxton. Moise Catlowitz. Bonnie Tayana Steingart, summa cum laude. David M. Kay. Leonard B. Kay. Gary Michael Kevin. Jay Kimmel, cum laude. Tamar Sarah Klein. Sheila H. Klempner. Ellen R. Kahn. Eric R. Coppell. Laurie June Friedman Korngold. David Bruce Korofkin. David Seth Kowarsnik. Theodore Martin Kravitz. Henry Eric Crewman. Sharon R. Kufeld. Karen Friedman Cooper Smith, cum laude. Paul Stephen Labner. Carol Lampson. Anne M.S. Landau. David Langer. Eric J. Laptop. Ellen Susan Lawrence. Ferris David Liebus. Bruce Neil Letterman. Faye Louise Schimmel, magna cum laude. Hallie Braxton Levy. Basha Schaefer Levin. Gary Mark Levine. Jay Lewin. Joel Mark Lieber. Herbert Lowenstein. Richard Mark Malt. Stephen J. Mandel. Michael Brian Markovitz. Martha Lewis Marcus. Elisa Hope Mark. Karen Diane Markin. Thomas Philip Markovitz. John Garrett Mark. Noemi S. Mislaya. Ellen Miriam Massey. Kenneth Lewis Matthews. Alan W. McBride. Stephen B. Meister, cum laude. Robert Seth Michael. Charles Mitchell Morosnik. Miriam B. Morris. Mark Elliott Markovitz. Melody Markowitz. Edward Timothy Mohan. Robert Richard Mullery cum laude. Barbara J. Nigel. Bruce Edward Nasper. Eleanor Webster Orlosh, magna cum laude. Holly A. Page. Isaac Palmer. Mark Irwin Hartnell. Elliot Bruce Passick. Maria H. Paredes. Iris Scott Purrs. Lauren Grace Peace. Deborah Winter Petrova, cum laude. Stephen Polterzybski, cum laude. Rachel Potasnik. Susan Shapiro Rand. Mark Lawrence Ratner. Julius S. White. Jean Rigg. Michael J. Roberts. Mark David Rolnick. Eugene Anthony Romano. Amy Beth Rhodes. Lucia A. Rosado. Catherine Nathan Rose. Kenneth Allen Rosen. Sydney Rosen. Joseph Rosenberg. Mayor Rosenberg, cum laude. Elizabeth Lawson Rosenfeld. Matthew Rothbond. Harriet Rothfeld. Alan Mark Rubin. Babette Terry Rubin, cum laude. Todd M. Rubenstein. Lydia J. Ruffalo. Mary Louise Ryan. Joseph M. Sabungi. Michael Lewis Saywick. Jesse Arnold Safer. Susan Adele Statler. Ira Sharaga. Sandra Rube Sheriff. Jody Shore. Michael Todd Schroeder. Claudia Sue Schultz. Elliot Matthew Schumann. Susan Kolodny Schwartz. Constance Schwartz. Marcy Tate Schwartz. Leon S. Sagan. Mark Stephen Seidenfeld. Kathy Persley Seidman. Jerry P. Schaefer, cum laude. Okay. Adele Sack Shapiro. Laurie Ann Shapiro. Mitchell George Shapiro. Stephanie Sam Shatkin. Hobby Joy Sheriff. Carrie A. Sherman. Thomas Ellen Spall. Edward Daniel Siegel. Linda Sirota. Stephen Nedrison. Hillary Beth Smith. Miriam Beth Solon. Samuel A. Siegel, magna cum laude. Mitchell Harvey Sinak. Stephen S. Sarah cum laude. Elizabeth Ann Stott. Marilyn Martha Steinberg. Jeffrey Mark Strachan. Susan Deborah Stewart cum laude. Harris Ian Suffian cum laude. Miriam Zapiro. Thomas E. Tarantino. Seth T. Tao cum laude. Christian Charles Thompson. Arthur Neil Paulson. Robin Ann J. Turiel. Marshall Scott Bayer. Pamela A. Warsauger White. Lawrence Stewart Warshaw. Cynthia Sarah Wayne. Richard Joel Wetzer. Leopold Weinberger. Sherry Lynn Windorf. Jeremy Weinstock. Jerome. Stephen A. Weisberger. Ellen S. Weisberg. Miriam Bell Linda White. Reed B. Whistler. Michael Lee Whitman. Mark Stewart Yegerman. Alice L. Meyer Yaker. Robin Sue Yonis. Amy Yarman. Steve Terry Zelson. Amy Zimmer. Elliot Michael Zimmerman. Linda A. Zubrin. David Bardell, magna cum laude. Three announcements. James Putnam Adlet is a cum laude. Leonard Allen Benowitz cum laude. And Carol A. Bernstein cum laude. Joe Erster was cum laude. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of you. Dean Paulson will now announce the special awards and honors.
Will the recipients of the honors, which we call, please come up here and line up. And will you hold your applause until everyone has been announced and has proceeded to the platform. These are, what I read now are some awards that have been established by the faculty of the law school. The faculty has established the Louis D. Brandeis Award for the student with the best academic record over the 3-year course. The award this year goes to Clifton Elgarden. The faculty has established the Felix Frankfurter Award for the graduating student who has earned the faculty's high respect by combining outstanding academic work, maturity, responsibility, diligence, and judgment. This award need not be given each year. The faculty has voted the award this year to Bonnie Beata Steingart. The faculty has established the Benjamin Cardozo Awards for the 2 best pieces of scholarly work, published or unpublished, from a member of the graduating class. One for work produced as a participant on the Cardozo Law Review, and one for work produced in any other law school endeavor. This year, the Law Review Award goes to Stephen B. Meister for his note acquisitive liquidations and section 334B2 beyond Kimball Diamond. Now that's a real lawyer. The award for the best seminar paper goes to Carol Lamson for her paper entitled Remedying Unwarranted Prosecutorial Inaction, a Comparative Study. The faculty has established the Samuel Belkin Award for the graduating student whose activity in the law school has contributed most to the growth and development of the School of Law. This year, the award goes to Michael Saywitz. Faculty has been kind enough to establish the Monrad G. Paulson Award for devoted service to the continued vitality and ideals and purposes of legal education. The recipient can be, but need not be a student. This year, the faculty has voted the award posthumously to Dr. Samuel Belkin of blessed memory, whose vision in large measure created our school. Will Mrs. Belkin and Linda Belkin-Schuhalter please stand if they're in the audience? Recipients of the Jacobs Burns medals will be presented by Jacobs Burns, a member of the Cardozo Board. You have a text? You want to know why? We're going to present the awards, obviously. These awards were established by Mr. Burns. They consist of a check and a medal which will be presented to the recipients as they come up to the platform. The first award is for the highest first-year average, 1976-77, Clifton Elgarden, S. Elgarden. We'll pass out the awards when they're all lined up in some place here. Highest first-year average, 1977-78, Abraham Gutwein. A recipient of a Burns Medal will be the editor-in-chief of the Law Review each year. This year it is Mr. David Swibel. The next award is given to the best Moot Court Board Person, 1977-78, Mr. Michael Hopkins. The best Moot Court Board Persons, 1978-79, Ellen Josen and Arnold Ernst. As well as Amy B. Targan for the best oral argument, and Ruth M. Gursky for the best written brief. honors who have already received their applause because law students do not understand English, please return to their seats. Faculty has established a post called Belkin Scholars. These persons are chosen by individual faculty members to assist them in their research work, and connected thereto, such an award is a small stipend. Will the following persons please come here and receive the certificate? Mr. Mitchell Eric Blum, Stephen Jonathan Blummert, Irv Hettner, Judith Eleanor Kaplan, Deborah Joy Petrovar, Julius Sam Reich, Philip Michael Roberts, Wendy Ellen Rosen, Michael Louis Saywitz, Naomi Wendy Sinreich, Stephen S. Spira, Harris Ian Suffian, and Marshall Scott Zaire. May we hear the applause for the Belkin Scholars as they leave the platform. The following award has been established by graduating students in the school who have given a prize to be awarded to the second-year student who has been recognized for self-initiated contributions to the success of the law school. The recipient of the award this year is Paul Weinstein. Paul Weinstein, are you here? Special appreciation on behalf of myself and the law faculty for the work of the members of the board of Volume 1 of the Cardozo Law Review. Issue 1, which will appear this month, and Issue 2, which will appear early in the semester coming forth. Time permits me to call the names of the members of the law editors only. Please stand in your seats as I call. David Zweibel, Editor-in-Chief. Clifton Elgarden, Notes and Comments Editor. Howard Finkelstein, Notes and Comments Editor. Bonnie Kenyatta Steingart, Notes and Comments Editor. Steve Pokrisky, Notes and Comments Editor. James Abbott. David Koreznik, Articles Editor. James Abbott is also an Articles Editor. Leonard Benowitz, Research Editor. Faye Lucie Schimmel, Managing Editor, to whom the members of the board have asked me to express their special appreciation for her invaluable contributions to the production of everybody else's work and to the production of the Law Review himself. May we hear your applause for these worthies.
Dr. Israel Miller, Vice President for Student Affairs.
Judith Rothstein, a member of the 1979 Cardozo class, died tragically last summer. To commemorate her exuberance in life, a scholarship fund was established in her name by her family, fellow students, and friends. The Judith Rothstein Scholarship Fund will be awarded annually to an entering first-year student who is in need. Judith is sorely missed by all who knew her. Please join me in a moment of silent tribute to her memory. Zichrona livracha, may her memory remain as a blessing.
The conferring of the honorary degree. Professor Monrad G. Paulson.
Mr. President, the eminent scholar, legal academician, and pioneer dean of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law has endeared himself to the entire Yeshiva University family and is deserving of the highest honor we can accord him. I am proud and pleased to present with love Yeshiva's Great Dane, Professor Monrad G. Paulson, for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Academic posts as both an administrator and teacher. You have demonstrated an unusual ingenuity and integrity which have intellectually enriched and morally elevated all who have had the good fortune to come under your influence. A man of skill and courage, you are totally committed to the betterment of higher education and the law. 4 years ago, you chose to leave the deanship of the University of Virginia School of Law to meet the challenge of establishing a new law school at Yeshiva University. Today, primarily through your effort, the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law is highly regarded among academicians and the legal profession. You saw the first results of your labors a few moments ago. If you are proud of the graduating class, we are equally proud of your achievements, and in calling you a beloved colleague and friend, and Monrad a brother. At Yeshiva University, you have not only fastened the law school, you have also created the presence that is singular and irreplaceable. You are a man of the law, a discipline in which you have attained eminence as scholar and educator. You are a man of the spirit, a deeply religious individual who has achieved the position of note in his own church, and whose spiritual dimension has endowed him with an extra measure of sensitivity to the values and cultural nuances of religious traditions other than his own. You are a man of the heart, one of broad vistas and encompassing horizons, whose friendships are never parochial, who has endeared himself to colleagues and students alike who not only respect but love him. You are a man of the mind, keen, perspicacious, insightful, analytic. But above all, you are a man, a mensch, a truly human being whose wholesome humanity has lent a dignity and warmth to these earliest years of the Cardozo School of Law and made of them not only a creative exercise, but a romantic adventure. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Commencement address will be given by the Honorable Marvin E. Frankel, former United States District Judge for the Southern District of New York, a partner in Kostauer, Rose, Getz, and Mendelson, and a member of the board of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law.
Thank you all. Those of you who've lived through the last 3 years and now the last 3 hours and now are entire doctors of jurisprudence, which I'm not, have learned surely that with us everything is equivocal, everything is on the one hand and on the other hand. And I want you to know that that applies to what is billed here as a commencement address as well. On the one hand, very seriously, it's not possible to be unmindful of the honor, and I mean just that, though it's an old word, of being allowed in this way to participate. Is there trouble that they can hear me or they can't? To be allowed to participate in this historic first graduation ceremony of the Cardozo Law School. And it seems to one who is given that honor that it isn't sufficient simply to have a young associate or friend string together a bunch of one-liners to keep the audience amused for a very few minutes. It seems the kind of occasion where one ought to say something in response to so honorable an invitation. On the other hand, there have been the 3 years and there have been the 3 hours, and the rain is being held off by a power that it's not for us to brag about. I heard one graduate say he has matinee tickets, and then the die was almost passed by my old friend Peter Leshing, who came by to do what he calls an obeisance, which was hiya, Judge, and to say soulfully, you won't take long, will you? Peter is the recipient. I don't know if he knows how important a person he is in my life. He wrote an examination paper in the first law course I ever taught. I disagreed with every word of it. I gave him an A+, the first A+ I ever gave, and he had this strange continued hold over me. So I'm going to try to be brief. Nevertheless, I do want to convey to you the gist of the text I wrote out here, which delivered rapidly at home in the bathroom last night, took an hour and a half. I will cut it ruthlessly, but I do genuinely wish to say something that I think is a small, and perhaps not even small moment on this great occasion in your lives, and if I may say so, in mine as well. I'm embarrassed a little as I proceed to look at this text to realize that though I knew where I was coming and knew who I am, I somehow saw fit to begin the thing by a reference to the Talmud. I am not as good a Jew as I would wish to be. I should have thought about that. And now, staring into the teeth of McDovids across the street and realizing that I am in the very center of Hebrew learning and tradition, I should be even more scared. But I'm going to read it the way it is and apologize in advance for whatever chutzpah. The quotation is accurate. And I began this by saying that many of you, before you came to this law school, must have known the passage in the Talmud that refers to lawyers as oppressors and robbers who did that which is not good among the people. In those days, evidently, lawyers, unlike today, were not the most esteemed people in the community. At best, they were thought to be a necessary evil. And I assume that many of you who came to this law school knew these teachings and were not in the habit, cavalierly, of rejecting things said in the Talmud. But you must also have known of the exception that was recognized from the earliest days, that professional legal spokesmen were necessary and appropriate and permissible when they were needed to avoid the doing of injustice. That exception for Jew and non-Jew alike has grown exuberantly over the years. It is, I think, what justifies all of us in going to law school and believing that it's possible to live a good life and be a good person even though you're a lawyer. Whatever may have been true in Babylon and Jerusalem in the days of the creation of the Talmud, we live now in a world that's so crowded and so complex that almost all of the hordes of lawyers we have may be needed. The great promises of rights and freedoms in great charters that you know about and that I try to remember are empty without the services of professionals to make them real. So there is good work of all kinds for you to do. And I want to talk, and I wrote here about one of those kinds of good works, the vindication of fundamental human rights, the rights of personal expression, of security, privacy, dignity, physical and moral inviolability. And the gist of what I wrote is that one of the ways that we can repay the privilege of admission to this learned profession is to give of our learning and of our energies for the vindication of such rights. And my theme, more specifically in this written text, is the theme of international human rights. Some famous wag, whose name I was unable to remember, said of the British that one of their virtues is that they don't preach what they practice. Now that's a kind of high-class compliment that I don't myself expect ever to deserve. Having arrived late in life at the realization that international human rights are important and genuinely conceivable, I find it impossible to refrain from spreading the word about that. And I thought and I think that this occasion of your entry into the profession was a fitting one on which to speak about such rights, about international human rights. And the things I wrote were, to some extent, general and to some extent specific. I want to remind you unnecessarily, though the reminder would have been necessary to my class 30-odd years ago, that international human rights are real, that the absence of an international court with its own marshals and its own sheriffs and its own police force is not essential to the existence of genuine law in the world. We have achieved now a wide understanding that effective rules of international law and effective conceptions of international human rights can exist because they're formulated, affirmed, and obeyed by members of the international community. And we've seen the development of a remarkable phenomenon, the claims by individuals around the world against their own governments of access to these individual international human rights. As you all know, the great charters, the Universal Declaration, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the Helsinki Declaration, the last of these, in very sweeping terms, affirms that the signatories from the East as well as the West will respect, and I'm quoting some of this language, human rights and fundamental freedoms, including the freedom of thought, conscience, religion, or belief for all, without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. Now, how meaningful is all that? Well, you can say things on the one hand and on the other hand. On the positive side, nobody, no nation, denies or fails to claim that it respects these international human rights. On the other hand, we all know that the facts of the matter deviate from the claim. So there's plenty of hypocrisy and plenty of evasion. But all of you know what La Rochefoucauld said about hypocrisy and about its being the homage that vice pays to virtue, and that's meaningful. The nations would not be claiming that they respect human rights unless they viewed it as an honorific kind of claim to make and an honorific kind of practice to appear to follow. And so, in addition to the claims, the rights get implemented. Many Jews do emigrate after long suffering and lots of pressure. However much they'd prefer to seal their borders, the Soviets, as you know, have let 50,000 Jews go in the last year or so. However much they'd prefer to keep such people silent, the Soviets still allow Sakharov and Medvedev and others to speak. The signers of the Czech Charter can no longer be silenced and won't be forgotten. The protests in favor of human rights are heard. The briefs are read. The people, millions of them, from Africa to Europe, in South America, in the Far East, who take their lives in their hands to protest for human rights, have reason to believe that they're not alone and they're not unheard. You also know that the picture is not thoroughly cheerful. Vladimir Slepak is in Siberia. Sharansky is in prison. Jacobo Timmerman is under house arrest in Buenos Aires without charges or stated reasons. Countless others are beaten and jailed and terrorized every day all over the world. And I've written here about places that range from El Salvador to Nicaragua to Central Africa to Iran and others that you could name. So there's much undone and much to be done in this field of human rights. I've outlined, and I'll spare you the details of the outline, the varieties of jobs that await doing, and most particularly by people trained and knowledgeable in the law. There are briefs to write, and protests, and creative essays to be written. There are informal and formal missions to be staffed around the world. There are projects of numerous kinds requiring many more people than are available to do the work. Much of it, I think you also know, is done outside of government. There are many groups attempting to serve the cause of human rights around the world. The International League for Human Rights, the Lawyers Committee for International Human Rights, the National Conference on Soviet Jewry, the Helsinki Watch, many others. All pursue vital concerns. All have needs for the kinds of vital energy and learning that can be expected from the pioneers of Cardozo's first graduating class. I know these are not the times to be thinking first and foremost about that subject. Most of you, I seem to recall, have more immediate urgencies to worry about. Details like getting admitted, getting a job, getting and learning some sense of what it is to be in the profession, getting a personal inward assurance that you are indeed, in truth, and worthily an entire lawyer. But those, I think, or at least they seem from the perspective of many years to be relatively minor and certainly manageable details. Once they're organized, which I would think means pretty soon, Cardozo graduates, in the nature of who they are and whence they come, will be raising their sights toward farther and broader horizons. I invite you to include in those sights the cause of human rights around the world.
The benediction will be delivered by Rabbi Fenichel. Please rise.
Elohim Shofet Tzedek, O Lord, righteous arbiter, who judges the world in righteousness and peoples with equity, as we conclude these first commencement exercises of the Benjamin Nathan Cardozo School of Law of Yeshiva University and proceed to our diverse activities and lives, we pause to offer a prayer to Thee on behalf of these new doctors of jurisprudence. Lindu Heitev, they have learned well. Dirshu Mishpat, Ashru Chamot, Shiftu Yosam, Rivu Almono. Grant them, O God, the wisdom to convey the knowledge they have acquired these 3 years on behalf of the downtrodden, the oppressed, the orphan, the widow, the weak, the injured, and the discouraged. May they ever be mindful of the trust given to them, the spiritual estate bequeathed to them, and the sacred heritage devolved to them. These worthy graduates are our faithful fiduciaries of the future, and in the immortal words of Benjamin N. Cardozo, they are bound to something stricter than the morals of the marketplace. Not honesty alone, but the punctilio of an honor. The most sensitive is then to be their standard of behavior. And to these hands and minds do we entrust and consign this absolute responsibility of these trustees. May they carry these unimpeachable standards with honor, respect, and dedication wherever they make their mark of distinction in the annals of our society. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon. So may it be Thy will, O God.
Remain standing for the Hatikvah, and please join in the singing. commencement exercise has been concluded. The marshals will now rejoin their groups for the recessional. We invite you to join us at a reception held immediately after these ceremonies in the Belfer Science Center.
The request that the audience please remain at their seats during the recessional. Thank you. Trustees, members of the boards of Yeshiva University, administration and faculty are now leaving the commencement area. Of this, the first class of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law are now filing out of the commencement area.